An interesting setup. I'm pleased to be a part of it today. Good morning. Are we still in the morning? Almost at noontime. So I hope to be able to use my short 20 minutes to give everybody a nice overview of the University of Toronto. But I do thank everybody for joining us. My name is Micah. I am a student recruitment officer from, of course, the University of Toronto. I've been doing this for just over 20 years. It certainly feels like a lifetime some days, but it is one that I have thoroughly enjoyed. I love the community. I love being part of the U of T. I love being surrounded in the smartest, most brilliant people in the world. And I love the interesting events and activities and shows and presentations and debates and things happening almost 24/7 at the University of Toronto. So I'm pleased to be able to present to you and to bring some of this information to your classrooms today. Now, if I had my way, I would make an individual one-on-one appointment with any student that was interested in U of T, where I would tell you about the history and the stories and the programs and answer your questions and really describe the student life. Of course, each one of those appointments would need to be about 5 hours long because there's just so much that I would love to be able to talk about. Obviously, we don't have that kind of time. So for the purpose of today's presentation, I'm really going to focus on the three main things that I want people to know and understand about University of Toronto. So what are these three important items? Well, certainly we are going to talk about the top quality and the international reputation and what makes U of T so great and what that means for students coming into the University of Toronto. We're going to take a moment to talk about the brilliant sense of community that our students have. It's a large university, but it doesn't look like it or feel like it because all of our students can fit themselves into a nice, small, friendly, intimate, inclusive, and supportive community. And last but not least, one of my favorite things to talk about, the staggering number of options and choices that students have of programs to study and experiences outside of the classroom, and the time, the freedom, and the flexibility to really shop around and explore and discover what's out there and to really make up their mind on what it is they want to do. When I'm finished with these three areas, I'm going to briefly talk about the application and admissions process and hopefully answer any questions that you might have along the way. So let's jump right into it. And of course, we're going to get started by talking about the quality of the University of Toronto. We are recognized as being one of the best universities in the world. There are many reasons why, but for the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to focus on research. We are a research powerhouse. Research is the engine that drives everything that we do, and it always has been for almost 200 years that University of Toronto has been in existence. So in order to be this place where the world comes to create knowledge, to answer the questions that nobody in the world knows the answer to, we've had to constantly invest in the labs with the best equipment, with the best resources, with the most opportunities, the biggest and best library system. We've got to make sure that we've got more than the next guys. We've got better equipment than everyone else. We have access to all of the world's knowledge and the infrastructure to be able to use that knowledge to create new knowledge. So researchers come to the U of T to do their work, to understand and answer those questions, to create the inventions and innovations. They write the book, they teach the world, they win big awards for it, and then new people want to come and do the same thing. So you have this cycle of excellence that continues year after year. Because of the cycle of excellence, we are consistently ranked among the best universities in the world, currently sitting at number 18. And in case there was any doubt, that is always, every year, consistently the #1 top university in Canada. Now, that is saying a lot because I know there are some phenomenal world-class universities in Canada, and you really can't go wrong if you are going to university in this country, especially in the province of Ontario. But the fact that U of T is consistently ranked the #1, you know that it really is this next level education. So what does that mean for you, for the students choosing to come to the University of Toronto? Not only getting the best possible education with the best possible resources, with the most possible opportunities available to you, but also what happens after you graduate, when you're done your education and you start going off around the world looking for amazing opportunities. Whenever you tell people that you went to the University of Toronto, they will always recognize that. Oh, there's this sense of accomplishment, of excellence. There's this sense of something that you have done, the excellence of going to the U of T, a legacy of discovery and innovation, the reputation that the University of Toronto lends to you to sail on throughout your future. And those are pretty exciting reasons why you might choose to come to the University of Toronto. Now, we are Canada's best university. We are Canada's largest university. But the surprising thing is, it doesn't really look as big as it is. It doesn't feel as big as it is because we are made up of layer upon layer upon layer of communities. And all of our students easily fit themselves into learning communities, academic communities, extracurricular activities, and physical communities. The U of T doesn't just happen in one place, but there are these three unique, distinct campuses. Now, there's a few things to know about this. First of all, as an applicant, you can choose any one, any two, or even any three, all three of the U of T campuses, and you may apply to any ones that you want, or all of them if you wish. Once you apply, we consider you for admission based on each one of your choices simultaneous. That means if you apply to all three campuses, you could get 3 University of Toronto offers of admission. You would then choose whichever offer you wish to accept. It's very important to know that there's absolutely no difference whatsoever in terms of quality of everything, the quality of anything, the quality of the education, the programs, the courses, the professors, the resources, the services, the facilities, the reputation and the legacy. So there is only one University of Toronto. They just happen to be located in 3 different neighborhoods, 3 different communities where the size is different, the architecture is different, the landscaping is different. You choose the one that you like the most, that you feel comfortable with, that you identify with, where you're happy, where you belong, and we'll give you that world-class University of Toronto education. Now, speaking of that education, out of all the different programs that are available and all the things that you can study, we put them into admissions categories. Now, if you're interested in one of our professional faculties, like engineering, like architectural studies or visual studies, like kinesiology or physical education, or our performance music faculty, those 4 professional faculties are only available at the St. George campus, downtown Toronto. They are nice, small, intimate communities. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody has access to the resources and services that they need. So your community is nice and small and intimate. However, for the rest of you that are looking to apply to any of our arts programs, any of our science programs, or the business programs at University of Toronto, those are large categories that are available at all 3 campuses. Arts programs, business and science are available at the Scarborough, the Mississauga campuses, and St. George. For anybody that chooses to go to Scarborough or Mississauga, again, they're going to a smaller campus, a lot more intimate, where you get to know everybody by name and they get to know you. You have easy access to the resources and services that you need. So you've got a learning community at your physical community. But the Faculty of Arts and Science at the St. George campus by itself happens to be fairly large, but there's multiple divisions and colleges that you can choose to belong to even at that campus alone. Now, there's lots of different programs across all of these different categories. And one of my favorite things to talk about is how many choices and how much flexibility you have to really explore and to mix and to match and to customize your own university experience. So how many programs are there? In fact, there are over 700 different programs at the 3 campuses at U of T. Almost anything you might be interested in, anything you might be enjoying, anything you might want to learn about, you can find at the University of Toronto. And best of all is the freedom and flexibility you are given to combine different programs. You may be familiar with the concept of minors, majors, or perhaps specialist programs, but I know sometimes it's a little bit confusing, so I'll explain how it works. When you apply to an admissions category and you're offered admission to it, your first year will feel a little bit like being a kid in a candy store. You can take any courses at all that you want, anything you might be interested in, anything you think you might enjoy. You can do whatever you like throughout your first year. At the end of first year is where you formally and officially declare exactly what program or programs you would like to pursue. Now, if there is one program that you're more interested in than anything else, you would probably want to specialize in that program. That means that over the 4 years that you're with us, just about 75% of all of your courses, everything you're learning, everything you're doing, everything you're studying is directly related to your one specialist program. A major is about a half of all of your time, all of your courses, all of your learning, and a minor is about a quarter of all of the things that you do. You can take a specialist program, and there's lots of room for electives that you take just for fun, just out of interest, just to complement yourself. Or you can specialize in one program and minor in literally anything else. It doesn't matter what it is, whatever you're interested in, you can do a specialist and a minor. But if you don't like that balance, if you want equal amounts, you can do a double major in 2 programs, spending half of your time on one and half of your time on the other. Now, you can even take 3 different programs if you major in one and do a double minor in 2. So with over 700 programs available, you can go ahead and pick any one, any 2, or even any 3 programs to truly combine and explore and discover whatever it is that you want, whatever you like. Best of all, you don't have to know this all is pre-decided before you come in. You can use your first year to really make up your mind, change your mind, mix and match and add whatever programs you want. And this becomes official at the end of first year. Now, if this sounds interesting and if you think, yeah, I like it, I like the size, I like the quality of the University of Toronto, I like the sense of community at the University of Toronto, I like the choices and the flexibility I'm given at the University of Toronto, how do I apply? Let's walk you through that process. Now, similar to every other university in Ontario, we do have a 2-step application process. Step number 1 is the simple part because it's just finishing the OAC application. Basically, what's your name? What's your contact information? What program, what faculty, what campus, what university would you like to be considered for? What's your first choice, second choice, third choice? That's basically what your initial application looks like. Now, for many universities, that's all you need to know about the initial application, and then the universities begin reviewing your file for admissions. But because University of Toronto is fairly large and there's lots of different options available, many students are looking to apply to us more than once. Sometimes students want to apply to the U of T more than twice. You can apply to us up to 3 times. However, there are some rules and limits to how you can use those 3 choices. For example, you can apply to anything you want at the Scarborough campus, but up to a maximum of 1 choice. You can't apply to the Scarborough campus more than once. So there's the first limit. Similarly, if you're interested in applying to the Mississauga campus, you may pick up to, but no more than 1 program at that campus as well. No more than 1 choice at Scarborough, no more than 1 choice at Mississauga. Now, the St. George campus is a little bit different because this is where the programs are divided into faculties. And the rule is you can apply to any 1, any 2, or even any 3 faculties at the St. George campus alone, but you cannot apply to the same faculty more than once. So while there are 3 campuses at the U of T, there are actually 7 different options available for you to pick from when you're submitting your application. And ultimately, you may pick any 1, any 2 or any 3 of those 7 options, but you cannot apply to the same one option more than once. So even if you are interested in the same program at all 3 campuses, you can apply to Scarborough, Mississauga, and the Faculty of Arts and Science at the St. George campus. No problem, even if it's identical programs. But if you're interested in more than one program at the same campus, then you would have to really be careful with how you use your application. And there is one additional step for those of you that are applying to the Faculty of Arts and Sciences at the St. George campus, that is to identify which college you wish to belong to. There are 7 different colleges. You have to rank them in order of preference. Now, the colleges are not academic and they don't limit or affect what programs you can take. You can study anything you want and still belong to any one of the 7 colleges. They are just simply a more intimate, friendly community with some important resources and services that you will need. And you can choose them based on where they are on campus, their size, their architecture. Maybe if you're going to be living on campus in student housing, you can pick your college based on the residence or the meal plan, but you have to make that decision yourself. After you've submit your initial application and you've decided your programs, your campuses, your faculties, your colleges, you've locked that in, within about 1 week, we will send you an email acknowledging that we received your application. Now, in this email, we will connect you to your applicant portal, which is your one-stop shop to see all of your next steps, any detailed instructions, anything at all that we might need from you, anything you might need to do, everything will be outlined in your applicant portal. So you have a period of time to complete your application, to complete your file, to submit anything that's required, to apply for certain scholarships that require an application, or to apply for on-campus housing and residence. This is all done through your applicant portal after you submit your initial application. Now, most programs at U of T will consider you for admission based on your high school marks, your grades, your average, and they're not looking at anything else other than just your average. However, there are some important exceptions to the rule. So any of the programs that you see on the screen right now will require some supplementary information from you. All of the professional faculties at the St. George campus, engineering, architectural studies, kinesiology, and music, in addition to the Rotman Commerce program and computer science at the St. George campus, will require some sort of a student profile, asking you things like, what do you get involved in when you're not in school? What are your extracurricular activities? Do you have any leadership experience, etc.? Those are the types of things that will be asked for. If you are applying to the Scarborough campus, to any or all of our management programs, our double degree program, co-op international development, or paramedicine, you will be asked to complete a supplementary application. And at the Mississauga campus, only the Amazing Theater and Drama program requires supplementary application in the form of an audition. Now, if you are applying to one of these programs, all of the instructions, all the information, and all of the timing will be provided in your applicant portal. So make sure you review that and you know exactly what you need to do and you get everything done by the relevant deadline. Now, I mentioned that there is some scholarships that require an application. This is called the Student Award Profile, and you will be linked to that profile on your applicant portal after you apply. That applicant profile is optional. You don't have to complete it if you don't want, but there are certain scholarships that require the information in that profile in order to consider you for those scholarships. The good news, though, is that there are lots and lots and lots of automatic scholarships that you don't have to apply for. Everybody will automatically be considered for those scholarships. Now, the basic rule of thumb is the higher your marks, the better your chances of getting a scholarship. The higher your marks, the bigger the scholarship is likely to be. And the higher your marks, the more scholarships you're likely to get. That's the basic general rule of thumb. So always work hard, do your best, and hopefully that will help you get your offer of admission and get some scholarship money when you're coming into the University of Toronto. Just a brief timeline for you. The application to all of our programs is January 12th. That is a firm application deadline. And as long as you apply by January 12th, you have equal consideration for admission to no matter what program you have applied to. Now, that being said, because admission is competitive, because certain programs are limited enrollment, because some programs require supplementary applications or profiles or forms to complete, we do recommend that students apply early, essentially as early as you can, as early as you're ready. Once you have your OAC PIN number, once you know exactly what it is you're interested in, what you want to apply to, you've made up your mind, don't wait until the January 12th deadline if you don't have to. It's a great idea to apply as early as you can. Once you apply within a week, we will email you and link you to your applicant portal. This is where you will see anything else that might be required, any instructions or next steps that you might need, the awards profile, supplementary informations, interviews, auditions, whatever the case may be. If English is not your first language, we will let you know that we need an English proficiency test, and we will give you the corresponding deadline for all of the above. February 1st is a very common date. It is the deadline for many of those things, but not necessarily all of them. So unless it's otherwise stated, you can get the information in your applicant portal. Residence is guaranteed to all first-year students, but we do have our own residence platform with its own application and its own deadline. That deadline is firmly March 31st. Now, the residence application is non-binding, no obligation, and there's no fee for that. So if there's any chance that you might want to stay in residence, it's a good idea to complete that application by March 31st. You can change your mind later on. Last but not least is to get your offer of admission. That's the exciting part. And I do have to highlight an error on my page right now, as something I did forget to fix. It says decisions are released from January to May. Previously, we were trying to honor that. We were going to make early offers as early as January. A few days ago, I found out that this will no longer be the case, that the early offers of admission at University of Toronto will begin in February. We won't be making offers before February. So February will be the earliest round of offers. For some people, it's not a very big round. Not that many people will get a February offer, but we automatically revisit your file in March, in April, and again in May. We'll make offers of admission 4 times. And by the end of May, we will have filled every available seat. We will have made as many offers as we can. And by the beginning of June, you will be asked to lock it in, to choose which offer you wish to accept, and to make arrangements to show up at University of Toronto in September. Just some final tips before we finish things up. Don't wait until the last minute to apply. In fact, every single stage of the application has its own corresponding deadline. Don't wait until the deadline if you don't have to. Always do things as early as you can. Be proactive, and you'll find that there's a bit of a win-win situation for that. We do send a lot of emails. I apologize in advance. You will be getting lots of messages from us, but I promise you, we're not spamming you. The information in those emails is important, and we do recommend that you check your email frequently, read those messages, and keep on top of the communications. If you have not yet visited us in person, I do strongly encourage you to book a campus tour at all 3 campuses or whichever campuses you are considering, because only once you've been there in person, having a good look around, do you know for sure if this is going to be the best fit, the best university experience for you. Don't forget that we do have a residence guarantee, but you must apply for it by March 31st. And all offers of admission are conditional on your final grade 12 marks. So no matter when you get your offer, when we see your final grade 12 marks, we want to see that they are fairly consistent with whatever they were when we made the offer in the first place. So keep working hard to keep your grades up so that you can clear the conditions of your offer of admission. And I know this was brief. There's so much more I would love to be able to share with you, but hopefully you can find the answers to your questions or connect with us later on. I do wish everybody the best. I encourage you to take a close look at the University of Toronto. I am sure you will love what you see, but that's up for you to decide. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day and enjoy your virtual university event.